Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today for your practice. Today we might need a couple of things. I'd recommend a blanket, maybe a block and potentially a strap. If you don't have any of those things, that's all good. We can make do without. Just know that when I cue any of those things, you can make any adjustments you need. Today's practice is going to be a slower, softer journey. And when we are ready, we're going to begin with taking our blanket and folding it up. We're going to pop it in a place so that when we lay down on our bellies, this is actually going to rest underneath our hips. So think about your hip points being on the blanket rather than on the mat. I'll make my way down to join you. And when we get there, in terms of where we rest the head, I might suggest that perhaps you use the hands to either rest the forehead or a cheek down on the earth. Even the chin on the hands works if that's comfortable for the neck. Perhaps if you're at home and you have another blanket or a little pillow, you might use that instead. Finding a place where we can settle. In terms of what the legs are doing, maybe you do a little shake of the hips side to side and allow the legs and the feet to spread out, move or relax into whatever space suits them. You know that as we settle here, we don't ever have to be completely still. If there's something that needs to change, if you somehow need to adjust your positioning, or if you have an itch, please move or scratch the itch. This is all about a process of coming to awareness and coming to be in our body. And when we come into our body, we might realize there are things that it's been trying to tell us that we haven't necessarily listened to. Here we're giving ourselves the chance to begin to listen. And sometimes that requires a little bit of action. Coming to settle here and noticing how it feels to have the hips supported. And also how it feels to have the belly against the earth. Noticing the ebb and flow of the breath. And perhaps with the difference of having our belly against the earth rather than our back body, perhaps now we find more ease, or the breath at least moves in a direction different to where it normally does and breathes into the back body, whether full of ease or just a slightly different trajectory. Anytime you notice anything else crop up, or any ways in which the body wants you to continue to soften, allow yourself to do so. Maybe taking the deepest breath you've taken all day. And using that exhale to essentially hug the earth with your body. And let the earth hug you back. And by all means, when we start to slowly move here and transition, it might be that the blanket is still well suited where it is. But if at any point you would like to move it to a different place or just to the top of the mat, know that you have the choice to do so. And whenever we're ready, we'll gently take the hands out roughly to 10 and 2. Forehead gently towards the earth, chin to chest. We'll use an inhale to start to lift the upper body up. There's no competition here for how high we can get, just whatever feels good. Use your exhale to come back down. Inhaling to unfurl and exhaling to float back down. I often think of the inhales, imagining the ferns in the forest as they start to open up their leaves. And the exhale is like a floating feather softly coming back down to the ground. Finding a nice rippling motion. And yes, even in soft practices, we may still feel engagement and strength. Strength doesn't always have to be loud, and strength facilitates the ability to be soft. Next time we come down towards the earth, we'll position our elbows so that they come underneath the shoulders. Forearms might be parallel. You might interlace the hands or grab opposite elbow to come to a Sphinx pose. For our Sphinx pose, we think of a reaching of the heart through the upper arms, maybe a subtle movement of the elbows in the directions of the hip points. Maybe once more noticing how it's quite nice to have the hips on an elevated surface. I feel there's an extra warmth in that particular area as well. A comforting sensation. In this Sphinx pose, we'll take one leg and bend it, and the other leg and bend it too. Maybe taking little circles through the ankles. Going in one direction and then another. And we'll allow a gentle windshield wipering of the legs. Know that we often do this pose when we're seated or led on our backs. So this might be a very different experience to what we're used to. And how does the support of the blanket help this movement feel, again, more comforting? Gently slowing down the legs. We'll extend the legs once more. And we're going to end up taking our left knee out towards the side into this like fallen tree pose. This might be where an adjust of the blanket is required. I'm going to slightly shift mine a bit more out to the side so my right hip point is on it and actually the inside of my left knee too. Doesn't matter how high that knee comes up, it might be that you use a different prop rather than the same blanket at an angle, if that doesn't work for you. So in our Sphinx for our fallen tree variation, starting to think of sending the breath to the inside of the left leg. I'm still thinking of gently reaching the heart through the upper arms. So it's shining its light forward. And come into a twist next, so taking the left hand long, so the left arm leaves the earth. So we have thread our right arm underneath. Coming into this twist variation, it might be that you need to support the head. Again, any other prop is all good. Or the left hand making a little fist can be quite a nice pillow. Giving yourself a chance to settle here. Again, it's never against the practice to shimmy any props or any parts of the body to make this place more comfortable to settle in. We often talk about this saying that like you don't grow inside your comfort zone, but for a mellow practice, for a slower, more quiet practice, we are looking at learning at what makes us feel the best within our body. The intention here is different. We want to feel more at home within our own skin. This next transition will be a bit tricky for me to demonstrate as I have a speaker on my right hip. But I'll do my best and hopefully explain well enough. We're going to come into a different sort of twist. So currently we're a little bit more twisted in the upper middle back. Here we might move more to the middle lower back. We're going to gently lift our head up from whatever prop it might be on, and you might have to move the prop out the way. Our left hand is going to come out almost so that the left palm's face down towards the right palm. And we're going to start to peel ourselves open into a twist. So we're going to end up moving towards our back body. Any amount of shimmying is all good. So we'll start to shift ourselves more onto the right hip. Left arm's going to start to open up. It can be opened up wide, or you can have a little bent elbow, as I'm going to demonstrate seeing as I am slightly against the wall. And it doesn't matter here if your left knee is away from the earth, touching the earth. Same with the left shoulder. You can find a little balance that works well for you. Seeing as I've got something on my hip, I'm actually going to find it easier for me at this particular point in time to come with my shoulder, left shoulder, more towards the earth. Now what I find quite nice here is to take the right hand to the outside of the left leg, maybe gently stroking the outside of the thigh. Contact, touch, tends to help the nervous system feel safe. Maybe we're here, where there's always an option with the left arm, wherever it is, to do little circles. Moving into the shoulder joint. And then maybe coming back to an open space that suits you. When we're ready, trying to come out the way we came in, although it doesn't matter what it looks like. So the left arm is going to come back over the body and come towards the ground. You're going to start to shift more onto the hip points, unthread the right arm, back towards Sphinx, taking the left knee in. Normally I swap around so that you can see the other side in front of the camera, but actually I'm going to take my right leg out to the side here so that you can see the twist from a different angle. Moving into our Sphinx pose with the right leg out towards the side. And breathe for a moment here. You can look forward, you can tuck chin towards chest, you can close the eyes. If there's something the body wants to do, please let it. And then the right hand is going to come further out in front of you, so the right arm lifts away from the ground. The left hand is going to thread underneath the right, maybe using the right hand in a fist as a little pillow. And breathing here. Where can we soften? Where can we feel more at ease? Can we soften here even more? And perhaps now coming into our other variation of a twist. So gently lifting the head away from the hand if it was rested there. Right arm comes out, so the right palm's more face down towards the ground initially, and then we'll start to open up the heart towards the sky, or at least the side of the room, by starting to roll more onto the left hip and have that right arm open up. It might be here that we find this kind of floating of the right shoulder. That likely will mean that you feel a lot of opening and a stretch along the front of the right pec. Equally, it might be that instead you prefer to take the right knee away from the ground and have the right shoulder more planted. Many options here, and both sides of your body don't have to be exactly the same. Maybe taking the left hand to the outside of the right leg. If the right shoulder is lifted, there's always the option to take circles with the arm. Bringing the arm back to stillness if we were moving it, and bringing ourselves back on towards the fronts of the hips. We might use the hands to support us, coming back through to a sphinx. From our sphinx pose, we'll plant the hands down roughly by the sides of the rib cage, gently pushing the upper body away from the ground but staying on the knees. If we take our bum roughly, or hips roughly above the knees, we're going to come to find a puppy pose. Now, with the blanket roughly on the middle of the mat, there are options to take the blanket underneath the knees, or options to take the blanket out in front of you so that we can always rest the head down on it. In our puppy pose, or to get to our puppy pose, we'll walk the hands forward, melt the heart down, forehead to the earth. If we find we have a lot of movement in the back body and we actually are able to get the heart or the chest towards the ground before the head comes down, it might be that you rest the chin on the earth rather than the forehead. But don't feel like, if that's not there for you, don't feel like that's the goal. People will have varying levels of mobility based on the structure of their spine and back body. Merely just an option depending on what is open to us, depending on our skeleton. Breathing into both sides of the body, right and left. Finding a wag of the tail behind us, the back bend. And then we'll begin to walk our hands back towards the body, and we're going to come to sit back on our heels. Now, currently I have the blanket underneath the knees. I find that that can be quite comfortable for me, but it might be that it serves you better in between the bum and the heels. Or depending on the ankle angle, if you have more of an angle and the top of the ankle doesn't come towards the ground, there's always an option to roll up the blanket and pop the blanket underneath the top of the ankles to find a little bit more comfort there for the feet and ankles and support in this space. I'll actually come there for us now. Maybe taking a moment to pop the palms faced up on the lap. A little roll of the shoulders up, back, and down. Maybe doing this a couple times if we find that that movement feels like it's needed. I'll take a moment here to drop the chin towards the chest. And we're going to end up facing towards our right shoulder. So we'll kind of roll our head over to the side as if we're trying to kiss our right shoulder. And then we'll roll back through the middle and come over towards the left as if we're trying to kiss our left shoulder. So little half circles starting to feel into the neck the tops of the shoulders. Next time we come back through the middle, taking the chin away from the chest, and this time taking the right ear in the direction of the right shoulder. Up through the middle, left ear, left shoulder. Through the middle, we'll return to the right hand side again. An option to stay here, an option to take the right hand to the left hand side of the head. Left hand may stay planted, or you may reach the fingertips out towards the left hand side. I'm going to gently rest mine on the edge of my blanket. And breathe. Coming up through the center, inhaling up through the crown of the head. And a little exhale to drop this time left ear towards left shoulder. Maybe taking the left hand towards the right hand side of the head, and the right hand on fingertips out towards the side, even if they're hovering away from the ground. Back up through the middle. Hands to center. And take our left hand now and reach the left fingertips forward, up towards the sky. It might be now that the palm faces out and we come round towards the back. So in that movement, I had my palm facing in, I swapped it to out, and then it turned around to face back behind me. So back behind me, towards the front, and then coming back towards the middle. So finding this movement, rotating through the arm and the shoulder and slightly through the torso. One more time. The other side, right palm faces in, take the fingertips up, turn the palm out, and then you might find a rotation of the palm back towards the middle, out towards the middle as it comes back to the front, still towards the middle as it's going up, turn it out, turn it back in as you come all the way around. And one more time. This time we're going to take our right hand towards the left thigh, and we're going to think of, in any fashion, taking the left arm up and around to find a twist. Coming back round towards the front, the left hand is going to come to the right leg. Unpeel the right hand, reach forward, up and back for a twist. So we're coming in and out of a twist and crossing the arms in the middle. The one underneath releases, reaches forward, up and back. So we find this bit of a rounding in the middle where we might think of gently pushing in between the shoulder blades and tucking the tailbone under, or reaching forward, up and back to open up. Kind of slightly cat-cowy movements where we come in and then we open up into a little bit more of a back bend. Because technically there is a back bend in every twist. When we feel we've evened out, we'll come back through center, rolling the shoulders up, back and down once more. And we'll move ourselves onto all fours. In all fours, again, options with the blanket, where you might have the blanket underneath the knees, or you might pop the blanket towards the side. Pop it under my knees for now. Wrists roughly underneath the shoulders. We're going to extend the right leg long behind us. Slightly lift up the right toes and take the right toes over towards the left. Maybe you have a little look. We'll allow the right toes to start to move in this little kind of like half circle or rainbow shape behind you, so that they come out towards the right hand side of you. Maybe again having a look at where the toes are. following the line of the toes with the gaze as they come back out over towards the left and the right. So drawing that rainbow back and forth. You can let the hips and the side body move, finding a bit of fluidity in your movement. And the next time that our right toes are over towards the left, maybe we slide them back. Slide them back till you find that you might get some form of glute stretch. So you might have to change the angle as to which your hands are at. Take a moment to breathe here. If you can't quite find the sensation you're looking for, a gentle rock side to side might help you find the space you wish to meet. And again, a tiny bit of action by pressing the hands down. We're going to draw ourselves back up. This time the right toes are going to come out towards the right hand side. Doesn't matter if the whole foot comes down to the ground. Maybe finding here a little rock back and forth. You can always lift the toes. You can always have a bend in the knee. And an option here to turn the toes slightly out, put a bend in the right knee and start to find these little circular kind of animalistic movements. So my yogis always laugh. I tend to call this like the Kenwood mixer move. You've got a paddle attachment. If you've ever seen like the paddle attachment of the mixers going round in the bowl, and they kind of go not in a proper circle, but kind of an in and out, and they just find their way around and they manage to perfectly mix whatever it is that you're baking through their own flow. So find your flow that works for you. Amazing. Maybe beginning to straighten the leg a bit unless you like the bend, and we're going to find ourselves a puppy pose here as well. So with our puppy pose here, you'll start to walk the hands out and bow the chest down towards the ground. You can always use a prop to support you. Taking a breath or two here. Bringing the hands back towards the body and drawing the leg back in. We'll come to the other side. So left leg behind, left toes slightly up so we can bring the left toes over towards the right. Maybe take a little peek. And then start drawing our rainbows. And you can always follow the toes with the gaze, and you can move the hips, the torso side to side. The next time that left foot comes out towards the right, perhaps starting to move the foot back. So we come into this almost like pigeon-esque variation. Placing the hands down, drawing yourself back to your all fours, but with the left leg extended. And we're going to draw those left toes over towards the left-hand side to find our little rocks back and forth. Remembering again that it doesn't matter if the whole sole of the left foot comes down towards the ground. We can be rocking around on the heel or on the inside of the foot. The movements may be big or small. Meet yourself wherever you're at. And finding a moment of stillness. Slightly turning the toes out and bending the knees. You can always come up onto fingertips for this to maybe find a little bit more fluidity, but starting to find your animalistic movement / Kenwood paddle mixer move. some of the rubbish I come up with. That if it helps you bring a little bit of laughter, helps you embrace the weird. Weird that I like to think makes life fun, then it's all good. When we're ready, maybe adjusting the leg or foot for stillness once more, this time coming down into our puppy pose. It's okay if the hips come more back, or you might prefer to have the bum or the hips roughly above the right knee, bowing the heart down towards the earth. Bringing yourself up. And we'll return ourselves back to our all fours. There's an option here to grab a block, or you might go blockless. We might take our knees wider, curl the toes under, and come up for a moment in a little froggy squat. So by froggy squat, my heels are lifted, my knees are wide. And you can always stay here. Squats are very difficult for a lot of people's anatomy because of the foldability that's required. And here again, we're trying to find ease and softness. So we're not going to beat ourselves up or expect ourselves to come into positions that are difficult for a large majority of the population. We'll instead find something that works for us. Block can be very handy. Maybe you stay in like a little froggy squat and you can always pop a block underneath the bum on any height. Alternatively, you can take the feet down towards the ground, bum again to a block or without a block, taking the upper arms inside the legs and palms to palm for our yogi squat. Equally, any version of a higher squat, like a little goddess pose, a slightly more active squat like chair pose, but with the knees wide, suitable here. See, my legs are in a similar position to maybe a child's pose. Your intention here is to start to open up again through the inside of the legs, but symmetrically. As previously, we're taking one leg out to the side at a time. Taking a moment to breathe when you've settled in whatever variation of a squat or child's pose that you may have chosen. And then we'll bring ourselves to our version of a forward fold. So from this particular place, I will end up using my block. I'm going to lift my bum, grab my block. Feet can stay wide, but slightly turn the toes in. And I'm going to take the block out on the highest setting, rest my hands on it, and release the weight of the head down. So I've become quite elongated through the upper body, almost like kind of puppy posing it through the upper body, but this time with the legs straight. Your forward folds might be closer in. Or you might indeed find something like a ledge, if I turn slightly sideways. You might find something like a ledge to do this on, or forearms against a wall. Remembering I've got quite a close camera shot, so hopefully whatever variations I showed you, you saw enough to be able to figure out what was going on. Thinking of finding length along both sides of the body in this particular variation. And knees can always be bent, so I'll just really bend into my knees so that my tail is slightly wagging up behind to find length through the upper body in this fold. Amazing. Hands might come down towards the earth. stepping a leg back and planting the knee, and another leg back and planting the knee. We're going to come into a lunge on either side and then to our backs. We're going to bring our right leg forward. It might be that you have to lift the knees and come into a little bit of a down dog movement to step the right foot forward, or maybe we can circle the right foot around and place it in between the hands, bringing the hands maybe initially towards the thigh. And then maybe instead of up towards the sky, we could interlace the hands behind the head and think of popping the back of the head into the hands, cradling, opening the elbows wide and starting to support the head as we begin to take the hands down and back. Bringing ourselves back upright. Maybe finding a half split, blocks welcome, bum towards the back heel, starting to fold over that right leg in front and take the right toes towards the sky. Shifting ourselves forward. I'm going to plant both hands inside the front foot, walk the front foot round and back, but however you wish to transition the right leg back. So we're in our all fours again. It's all good. Left leg up next, towards the front. Maybe hands move towards the thigh to begin. I like to find that when I take my hands to the thigh, or feel at least that I'm starting to grow up taller. So there's more length from that like left hip crease all the way up to the crown of my head. The hands are helping me to like push up and out. Then maybe the hands behind the head, pushing the head back into the hands. So the hands are cradling the head, elbows wide. Think of reaching the crown up and then leaning back. Up through center, option for a half split. Bum towards the back heel, beginning to straighten and fold over the front leg. Bringing yourself forward, perhaps taking both hands inside the front leg to draw the left leg back so we're back in our all fours. Perhaps walking the knees towards the hands or hands toward the knees, kicking the legs out towards the side. Here is our option to grab our strap for a hammock pose. We can do a hamstring stretch without the strap, but we have an option to take our strap and pop it in a little loop. Pop part of the loop of the strap on the left foot. I'm going to lower myself down to the back, holding the strap still. Bending both knees. And when we're ready, extending the left foot up towards the sky. It might be that you take your head and cradle it in the straps, a similar place to where we had the hands interlaced behind. So we're thinking like we're tucking the strap on the top of the ears, like where your glasses would go. Think of the foot resting in the strap, the head resting in the strap. Maybe extending the right leg long, finding our hammock pose. Arms can go wherever you wish them to go. I find it quite comforting to have a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly. As always, there's an option, particularly if we are without a strap, to rest the head on the ground and have the hands interlaced behind the leg in some capacity. If the arms aren't long enough, maybe think of using something like a scarf or a tea towel. We'll stay in this pose for a little bit longer. You know, always have a bend in that left knee, or if you feel like you're quite rigid through the leg, and maybe allow a soft bend. Notice what the jaw is doing here. Having the head hammocked is to help release tension in the neck and shoulders. So let's not make the jaw add tension. I tend to do a little shimmy and a separation of the teeth. Gently releasing the head out of the strap, the left foot out, the right foot in. And swapping sides. Maybe extending the left leg. When I say the left leg long, it doesn't have to go straight by any means, and it can be very relaxed. And we're trying to find places to soften here rather than purposely having the intention of engagement. Obviously, we will find engagement as we transition because we need that strength to help facilitate the ease. But our main focus is thinking of trying to find and cultivate more ease and softness. Allowing your breath to flow naturally, freely, expansively. Gently releasing the foot and the head out of the strap, popping the strap to the side. We'll come to our Shavasana for our practice today. I'm going to gently roll to one side to get my blanket to show a variation of where we can rest, where we can settle. Taking the blanket in a long line or a long roll, but instead of being underneath our hips this time, we're going to place it to line up with our back body. So I'm going to bring my tailbone just to where the bottom of my blanket is. And I'm going to lower myself slowly down. Here, supporting the line of the spine and allowing the shoulders to open up as they relax either side of the blanket's edge. Legs can be extended long, or if it feels more comfortable on the low back, you can always have the feet wide and the knees in as I'm demonstrating. Arms may go wherever you wish. I quite like the cactus arms out towards the side as it helps facilitate this opening across the fronts of the shoulders. A slight tuck of the chin towards the chest for a naturally long neck. And breathing into all that space you've created with the blanket supporting the back body. Now more into the front and the sides. Allowing yourself to be here, still and soft, for as long as you wish when this video ends. Take whatever time you need. And as always, thank you very much for joining me on your mats today. Have a lovely rest of your day.